Yeah, no, it's like totally, think about how. So, man.
Live recording.
Got it.
All right,
Live and recording.
we are ready to go. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Liz Staubach, Chair of the City of Albany. I'll call the April 16th meeting to order. Note that we do have a quorum with just Anthony. Oh, look at that. There you go. With just Christopher Betts not in attendance. Item would be to ask for a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and accept as presented.
So move.
May I get a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions, edits, revisions? All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll move on to the report of the Chief Financial Officer. I never forget you.
Thanks.
In consideration of the agenda, I will keep the remarks brief, but I would ask the members to turn their attention to pages 6 through 8 for a review of the quarterly revenue and expense, detail and cash position schedules. First quarter of 26, the IDA reflects a front-loaded expense profile paired with modest but improving revenues, resulting in a temporary cash decline despite outperforming revenue expectations relative to budget. Fee-based revenue has been limited but steady, with application and admin fees totaling approximately $9,000 year to date. These are concentrated in January. Present routine project-related income rather than major transaction activity. However, the fee schedule shows a significant shift later in the year with large projected agency fees expected in July, September, and November. Expense patterns and cost drivers. Expenses were approximately $268,000, closely aligned with budgeted expectations. However, the timing of expenses is notable. Current costs include the management contract, economic development support, professional consulting services. We began the year with a cash balance of approximately $5.3 million. This declined to $4.9 million by the end of March. Again, reflecting the seasonalities inherent in the IDA business model. Relative to budget, smaller than expected deficit. We were budgeted for a $234,000 deficit. We're actually much less negative, which is good news, $123,000. But again, by the end of the year, these figures will normalize, and again, we're expected to track the budget. Key takeaways, again, timing mismatch drives the deficit. Large and frequent project fees dominate the annual revenue, strong liquidity position, and a positive budget variance, outperforming due to stronger than expected non-fee revenue. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Any questions for Andy? All right,
Thank
thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, 135 Ontario LLC.
Yes, I will just briefly provide an overview. We've been discussing this project for the past several months. It was the subject of a public hearing last week, during which no comments were received. The project involves the renovation of an existing vacant one-story structure into a 3-story residential apartment building containing 34 units of housing and an on-site fitness center. The total final building will be approximately 29,703 square feet. We do have Nadine Shadlock and Dylan here from the project team if there are any questions from the board. If not, we're asking for consideration for the approving resolutions.
Olivia said we've gone through this over the past several months. Are there any additional questions for the applicant or comments on the project? Yes, it is. All right, may I get a motion on the resolution concurring in the determination by the City of Albany Planning Board as lead agency for the environmental review of the 135 Ontario LLC proposed project?
Or separately.
All in favor? I'm gonna stop here and discuss the pilot deviation.
Sure, yeah, in response to that, we wanted to note for the record that we performed an in-depth cost benefit analysis that was reviewed at both the committee level and the board level. So if there's any other further commentary or anything, we can have it here, but otherwise we'll move forward with the resolution.
Are there any additional questions on the pilot deviation? Okay, I was hoping somebody had a question so I can find the actual, there we go. May I get a motion on the resolution authorizing a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy in connection with the proposed payment in lieu of tax agreement to be entered into by the agency in connection with the proposed 135 Ontario LLC project? May I get a second? All in favor?
Page 36, I think is the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Nadine.
Thank you.
Okay, may I get a motion on the resolution determining that the proposed resolution A, determining that the proposed 135 Ontario LLC project is a commercial project, and B, making certain findings required under the general municipal law.
So move.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
The approving.
Resolution is, I got it right here. And last but not least, may I get a resolution authorizing execution of documents in connection with the leaseback transaction for project for 135 Ontario LLC.
So move.
May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're good, Nadine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have faith in you.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is 575 Broadway Holdings LLC.
Sure. The project involves the historic renovation of the former Union Station. The finished product will result in approximately 50 workforce housing apartments as well as 25,000 square feet of commercial space intended to house a data center and a virtual reality theater. As with the previous project, this project was discussed at both the finance and board level over the course of the last few months. A public hearing was held last month, during which, last week, during which no public comments were received. The request at hand deviated from typical agency pilot for our UTAP and per the project evaluation and assistance framework. As such, a third party was brought on to evaluate both the financial assumptions of the development team and also the reasonableness of the request at hand, both of which were found to be within reasonable parameters.
Okay, do we have any additional questions? This is another project we've discussed over the past several months.
I need to note that the, Repeat on this all the time, from the net benefit and passenger stations, this one showed a negative on the revenue gain, but that is illusory, I think, because taking no action here would drive the property value down and thus make things worse.
That is correct, and also the way this particular pilot is structured, largely in part, largely because of the fact there are HCR funding involved with that is rent restricted to the units. The pilot is based on a percentage of effective gross income. So should the economics of the city of Albany or general economics in the US change and the performance of the project outpace the initial projections, the pilot payment would increase as such.
And just before we do the motions, but thank you to staff and the applicant. I know it was a long process to go through and work on this pilot agreement. So thank you for your patience and thank you for your creativity in coming up with a good solution for both parties.
Be creative to it.
Creativity's frowned upon.
All right. With that, if there are no additional questions, may I get a resolution determining that the action to undertake a project for the benefit of 575 Broadway Holdings LLC is a type 2 action and no further action is required under seeker respect thereto. May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Page 63 is the next.
Do we, yep, good work.
So we just wanted to know also for this project that an in-depth cost benefit analysis was performed and we reviewed that at both the finance committee level and we're reviewing it at the board level previously as well.
Okay, any questions on the deviation? May I get a motion authorizing the motion on the resolution authorizing a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy in connection with the proposed payment in lieu of tax agreement to be entered into by the agency in connection with the proposed 575 Broadway Holdings LLC project. May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
74.
Yep.
We'll be back.
Yeah. I went through and have them. May I get a motion on the resolution A determining that the proposed 575 Broadway Holdings LLC project is a commercial project, and B, making certain findings required under the general municipal law? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And last but not least, may I get a motion on the resolution authorizing execution of documents in connection with the leaseback transition for project 575 Broadway Holdings LLC. May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda will be 54 State Property LLC. You, okay.
The project involves the renovation of an existing approximately 108,000 square foot, 10-story commercial office building into approximately 120 market rate apartment units, while keeping approximately 2,500 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor that currently consists of a coffee shop and a bank branch. As noted with two previous projects, this project has been discussed at both the finance and board levels over the past month. A public hearing was held at the finance committee last week, during which no public comments were received. Any further questions, concerns? Sure. To Darius, to your point, looking at the net benefit, obviously our project summary calls out some of the things that came across in our project, in our cost benefit analysis, the addition of over 100 apartments in the central business district, the reuse of a underutilized commercial office building. But speaking directly to your point, Darius, this property is currently assessed at approximately $6.6 million. However, upon the execution of the sale, we would expect, if that price or close to the sale price were used as a comp, the assessed value would be lower. And just the sale of the building alone is likely to drop the assessed value and associated property taxes by over 40%. If this were to be the case over the next 20 years, the city will receive, if the pilot is to move forward, the city will receive approximately $594,000 more in property tax revenue with the improved building and this pilot that we're discussing currently than it would if the building were kind of remain in its current state, which is somewhat struggling. Great. Thank you. Of note, the applicant is here with us today if there's any specific questions for the applicant.
Do you have any questions for Andy or the applicant?
I've exhausted my.
May I get a motion on the resolution determining that action to undertake a project for the benefit of 54 State Property LLC is a type 2 action and no further action is required under seeker respect thereto? May I get a second? All in favor? Ashley?
All right, I'm like a broken record today, noting that also for this project at 54 State Street, that we performed an extensive cost benefit analysis that was reviewed at both the finance committee and board level previously.
Any questions for Ashley? May I get a motion on the resolution authorizing a deviation from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy in connection with the proposed payment in lieu of tax agreement to be entered into by the agency in connection with the proposed 54 State Property LLC project? May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
May I get a motion on the resolution determining that the proposed 54 State Property LLC project is a commercial project, and B, making certain findings required under the general municipal law? May I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And here we go. May I get a motion on the resolution authorizing execution of document with leaseback transaction for a project for 54 State Property LLC? May I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, no, I lost my agenda.
So we got all the approvals, right?
Yep.
Lost your agenda.
So I think we moved to new business now.
Yep.
And then 45 Columbia is the first item.
I didn't miss this. Yeah,
And then it's for a public hearing resolution.
Do we have anything to add before I just ask for a motion on the public hearing resolution?
We do not, we would expect, after the public hearing, obviously address any potential public comments that come in regarding this project and also take the committee through our, in-depth cost benefit analysis.
Any questions? All right, may I get a motion on the resolution authorizing the chief executive officer of City of Albany IDA to hold a public hearing regarding a proposed project to be undertaken for the benefit of 45 Columbia Street Association LLC? All in favor?
So a motion by Lee and a second by Darius.
Thanks, Mandy. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, 30 South Pearl LLC. Public hearing resolution?
Yes,
Do we have other stuff going on first?
do we have the?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 30 South Pearl Street, again, this project was introduced last week to Finance Committee. The applicant team that's here with us today. This is really the sister project to the project that was just approved, 54 State Street. This project involves the redevelopment, so to speak, of this building into true Class A office space. We have also brought on a third party to look at the financial assumptions of the request at hand and also the reasonableness of the request. What you have in front of you, that was just completed last night is the executive summary. The full report, while it is done, is still being polished up. We will have that to this body, at the Finance Committee meeting in May, so we'll be able to go through that in depth and it's in an executive session. But we wanted to get this out to everybody today. As expected, the analysis concludes the developer's assumptions regarding development costs, future operations, and proposed financing are reasonable. As the economic benefits of the developer's pilot mostly accrue to the existing and future tenants of 30 South Pearl, the analysis concludes the developer receives reasonable, not exorbitant investment returns with the pilot deviation request, and we will go very deep into the weeds in that next one.
Are there any additional questions regarding 30 South Pearl Street? The project. All right, may I get a motion on the resolution authorizing the chief executive officer of City of Albany IDA to hold a public hearing regarding a proposed project to be undertaken for the benefit of 30 Pearl Property LLC?
I move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Was I supposed to jump stage up?
At the CRC right now.
Yeah.
Just go.
Okay, sorry, I just caught that. Next item on the agenda would be Part South Partners LLC.
Yes, we have a representative of the applicant team here with us today. The resolution at hand is requesting the agency's consent and to authorize a refinance. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Goldman.
Thank you, Nick. Paul Goldman from Park South Partners. Good afternoon. This is a consent. There's a long-term pilot. This is the 4 mixed-use buildings in Park South. They consist of some storefronts on the first floor and apartments above. And the project is at its term of the debt. There's no new mortgage tax exemption, but the IDA is on title to it to confer the pilot, so it has to approve the mortgage. The documents that have been prepared by council to M&T will have the standard exculpation for the agency. So, any questions for that?
Any questions?
I just have one to make sure we have the correct documents here, because I think we discovered out that. Property's on 11 New Scotland Ave, and 72 New Scotland Ave. I'm not sure if this tax map ID here is.
There's four parcels.
Okay.
So what we got right on the document.
So this is okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it should, I'll correct it, it's 4 tax parcels. It's 2 on New Scotland and then 2 have a Morris and so I've got the work.
My point, in the material says still listed 11 New Scotland Ave, I think it should be 17, and the class map here is not, it's not an active tax map number.
I'll give council the,
Okay.
that. So 11 became 17 and it kind of reverts
Some
back.
point, where
Yes.
we don't really quite
Yeah.
know, but I just wanna make sure for the
But
purpose
it,
of this.
yeah, you have a lien on 4 parcels,
Right.
so we have those parcels.
Yeah.
We're good on that.
Okay.
There is, thank you.
We'll figure it out, we'll figure it out.
Okay. All of that,
Yeah, the,
assuming,
the documents themselves with the pilot actually have the correct. Description on it, but the address is wrong.
They were changed. If you remember, this was the whole assemblage of Tessits and all that.
yeah,
They got hurt and it just fell through the cracks with the filing of the map. But we have, the descriptions are right, which is the most important thing, and we'll correct any of the issues that, between Darius and myself.
okay. Sounds good. May I get a motion on the resolution authorizing the execution by City of Albany Industrial Development Agency of certain refinancing documents in connection with the Park South Partners LLC project? May I get a second?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, gonna be faster.
Yeah.
And moving on to Sage College.
Sure, I am going to briefly
Sorry, didn't listen.
introduce this and turn it over to council, and obviously. We have representatives of the applicant team here. The request at hand involves a resolution authorizing the consent to merger involving Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences and Sage Colleges. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chris, Michelle, and her team.
Sure, so I don't wanna step on your toes, folks, but there's a merger that's going to happen. The actual merger is gonna happen next year technically, but Albany College of Pharmacy is going to be merged into soon by Russell Sage College. So in 1999, the IDA issued bonds for the benefit of Russell Sage College, Sage Colleges back then. They signed an installment sale agreement, basically like a loan agreement. That's what IDAs had to do back in the day. One of the provisions of that installment sale agreement says that the consent of the IDA is required whenever there is a merger like this. So this resolution authorizes that merger. And also, the surviving entity, Russell Sage College, will need to assume in writing all the obligations of anything related to Albany College of Pharmacy on their bonds.
Okay.
So that's just something we'll have to do in the background. These folks are with the College of Pharmacy, though, not Russell Sage College. You're, we got two, okay. Did I step on? Here you go. Was that a good summary? Do you have anything to add to that, or?
I think that pretty much covers it.
So unless anyone has questions about the merger or
Yeah.
other
Are you taking
information.
over law school and the med school too?
Uh,
No,
See?
this is enough.
Right, yeah, one at a time, one at a time.
Dun, dun, dun.
The only thing I'd add is with all transactions like this, we have, the project applicant, provide a request letter that's attached to Exhibit A, requesting that the ID provide its consent. So that letter from Russell Sage College is attached to Exhibit A.
Okay. Do we have any questions on the merger or the documents? May I get a motion on the resolution consenting to a merger and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents with respect to Sage College's project? May I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Agency update.
So I think we were gonna kick it off with our guest speaker. So we have Eric Simons of CBRE Upstate here with us, and we did want to have a general conversation about commercial office and any other, answer any questions anybody might have.
Yeah, I think based on the activity that we're seeing here currently and the real impact that we expect and hope it will have downtown. We wanted to bring in Eric, who is the subject matter expert, to really talk generally about maybe what he's seeing downtown and answer if anybody has overarching questions about the office market in the city. Eric may be able to answer that. So further ado.
Great introduction, thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping for more of a conversation, but I always start off talking about the office market, no matter if it's our general market or a specific local market. We really focus on three metrics to describe a market and compare and contrast with previous periods or compare and contrast a certain submarket with another submarket. So overall, our office market here in the capital region, which is a 5-county area, it's about 31 million total square feet. Okay, so put it in context. When we look at our submarkets, first of all, the largest submarket would be our suburban market, Colony, Clifton Park, all of the 5 counties, all the suburban properties. It's about 2/3 of that total of 31 million in inventory. But we're here to talk about Albany and specifically the downtown market. And that submarket is about 4.5 million square feet right now. Now, to put it in perspective, the next closest central business district submarket would be Schenectady, and it's less than half of Albany's inventory. Okay, and then you have a smaller submarket in like a Saratoga, which is only 650,000 square feet. And when I talk about these square footages, these metrics, my firm does market studies twice a year, every 6 months, year end and then mid-year. And we include only inventory that's privately owned buildings that are 10,000 square feet and larger. So when you look at downtown Albany, buildings that are owned by public entities or institutions are not included in that. Okay, so that's the inventory. And by the way, we're at 4.5 million now. About 12 years ago, we were well over 5.5 million square feet in our total market. And as you are aware, most of that product dropped out of the inventory due to conversion primarily to residential. And I'll talk more about that impact when we get to the third metric, which is vacancy rates. And you know what, I'll just jump into that now. Overall, our market is about a 12% vacancy rate, which is very, very healthy. Certainly lower than, I'm sure not as surprised to you, than it was in 2020, 2021, 23. In fact, over the last 12 months, we've decreased our vacancy rate by over, I think it was about 102 basis points, which is very, very good. And that largely, a lot of times when we see changes in vacancy rate, like for a year in downtown Albany over the last decade, it's been because you're removing inventory, not necessarily that firms are growing or new firms come to the area to take more space. It's repurposing assets. We haven't really seen a lot of that. So it's really firms growing or taking more space that has lowered our vacancy rate over the last 12 months. In Albany, Central Business District, our vacancy rate is a little higher. It's about 3.2%, which is up about a point from 12 months ago. So we're heading in the opposite direction. But there's not a lot of concern that we have as commercial real estate professionals, because there is certainly a huge uptick in activity in downtown Albany office market over the last 12 months, 18 months. So I think that vacancy rate is going to come down. Plus, as you guys are well aware, some buildings will be coming out of the inventory that have a large vacancy rate, lowering that vacancy rate probably in the next 12 to 18 months. Interestingly, if you were to just pull 3 or 4 buildings out of the total inventory, and set those aside, that 13% vacancy rate drops down to below 7%. So it's largely focused our vacancy. And the third metric is asking prices. So we've talked inventory, vacancy rates, and then asking prices, and what direction are they going in? And that helps us compare markets. Our downtown asking prices have actually increased over the last 12 months to about $21 a square foot. So it seems counterintuitive if vacancy is rising and there's more space available, why are prices also rising? And the fact is that the vacancy that's increased has been in higher quality product and not like the Class C, but more Class A, which commands higher prices. So that's the reason. I don't put a lot of investment in asking prices because, again, you can ask anything you want. But in general, they are a pretty good guide. But what we really try to focus on are what are transactions actually getting done at? What are those price trends? And those are certainly holding steady. Now, that information is not public because leases aren't, unless they're recorded, they're not public, like sales are. So it's limited in the data that's available. But from what we see and what the transactions our office is doing, those rates are certainly holding steady. Talked about the vacancy rate and it's 13%. And I said I'd come back to this. When our inventory was higher, if we still had that same inventory and we didn't have all the conversions we've had over the last 10 to 12 years, our vacancy rate post-COVID, 21, 22 would probably have been 40% down in Albany. I mean, think about that, every other building almost empty. So thank God we converted some of those older, dated, functionally obsolete Class A or Class C office buildings into residential. Obviously, you guys know this, but it's twofold, that you get more people living down here, but you also remove inventory that is a problem on the market and a drag on the market, really. And it'd probably be well above 20% today, even with the gains that we've made. So we're in a pretty good spot. We're optimistic about the market. One thing I have, my thought on the matter is that when we talk about office space in downtown, I would argue we don't actually have enough of it. And at 13%, you're saying, well, Eric just lost all credibility. There's clearly space out there. There is, but it's not the space that modern professional office tenants are looking for anymore. It just is not. It's functionally obsolete. And you think about it, our youngest office building is 21 years old this year in the capital of the Empire State. I think that we've seen a huge uptick in demand for new construction or new, more modern office buildings. So, and it doesn't have to be ground up construction. It can be taking an existing building that maybe hasn't had a capital investment in a while, getting the capital into that building and updating it, modernizing, maybe bigger windows, things like that. Things that modern office users are looking for. So it doesn't necessarily have to come out of the ground. Another issue we have, other than inventory, is we don't have a lot of larger spaces available. So when you get a large law firm that goes out in the market, wants to be downtown, and unless they're 20,000 square feet or under, can't really find space for them in a building that they want, which is contiguous space. That size, you're probably occupying multiple floors. They don't want to be on floors 3, 7, 9, and 12. They want to be contiguous floors, one after another. And unfortunately, the larger unfortunately, many of the larger spaces are also bigger footprint spaces and more square. And that poses another problem of achieving what office tenants are looking for, which is natural light. To get natural light into the center core can be very difficult unless you do some very high-end build out with a lot of glass walls to allow the light to penetrate through. So when we see new projects proposed now, it's a lot of square shaped, smaller footprints, maybe 11, 12, 13,000 square foot footprints. So that everybody that's working in there is basically getting the same amount of natural light. It's just the design that people are looking for in their professional office. That's an overview. Does anybody have any questions? I know I dumped a lot of information in there. I have some market reports that I can leave behind for you guys, but you can also email them if you guys want to send them out.
And obviously, if questions pop up post meeting, please, let staff know, and if we can't answer them, we'll.
We're bothering all the time. Right?
Yeah. Reach out anytime.
In conjunction with the CAP initiative and the funding that we hope and expect to see downtown, I think we just want to make sure that this body is as educated as possible on all the things happening, so that it enables you as a board to make the most appropriate, accurate, efficient decisions. So if there's any other areas of questions that you ever have, please let Ashley and myself know. If we can, again, if we can't answer them, we'll go out and get the professional who hopefully can.
I think the only thing we didn't hit on today that we've hit on previously based on feedback from you was parking.
Yep.
And about how parking is something that tenants have to pay for here. Ryan said it too. They have to pay for in the city. That is not necessarily a cost that they have to pay for at the same rate or at all potentially in
That's right.
the suburbs. So
Yeah, in our studies and actual projects that we've done down here for representing office tenants, when you look at the cost of parking compared to, say, corporate woods, because that's a lot of times it can be downtown or corporate woods, basically you're paying an 18 to 20% premium to be downtown and parking alone. Even if all other costs are the same, it's still going to be more expensive due to parking. Now, that's a general 18 to 20%. It depends on how dense the space is, how many people you pack in per square foot. But an average office user, law firms, things like that, generally 18 to 20%. So that's a challenge, but we have seen firms that are not shy about paying it because they want to be down here, which is great.
Yeah.
Now we just need to provide product for them that attracts them to stay here.
So thank you, Eric, for providing like data-based,
Yeah.
optimistic approach towards the commercial office market, because I feel like oftentimes, you know, Albany gets kind of mired down in negativity that isn't often based in fact or data. And so like we like to kind of, you know, while we have a live stream that doesn't have a lot of viewers, we like to have as
Oh,
much
Thinking
in the
this was my
public realm
prime
as-
moment. Yeah.
you know, we like to have as much available for the board and for the public realm as far as, you know, what the actual truth is, in terms of the market, in terms of the data. And what I will also say is while this speaks to the demand, this doesn't necessarily speak to the cost side of the equation, which we will go through extensively in the analysis as far as like how a developer makes it work and how, you know, the IDA obviously plays into that role. They have the demand, but that doesn't necessarily mean the numbers are cake either.
Right. Well, and thanks to the work you guys do, you help on the supply side for us, so.
Any questions or?
Thank you again very much.
Oh, my
Very
Absolutely.
useful for us.
You guys want me to leave these? There's.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's great.
Thank
I
you.
was thinking that. Sure thing, Andy. Good to see you. Okay, if you need more.
compliance update.
Yes, compliance update, I'll just briefly note that we did hit all of our Paris reports ahead of the March 31st deadline.
Good job. Thank you very much for that. I don't mean to sound so, I understand how, what a big lift and how much work that is. So thank you very much for making sure we stay in compliance.
Yeah. I think we also just wanted to note next month's board meeting date has shifted. Cause staff is which has been planned, but staff is attending Cooperstown, the EDC conference. And so the board meeting will be on that Wednesday, the 20th, instead of the Thursday.
So it'll be Wednesday and so.
Yes.
Oh, but you
Yeah.
guys already planned that.
Yes.
Just
Okay.
Just wanted to put it out there.
It's already, Marie already got it on the schedule.
Remind not to show up on.
I gotta switch it on the work calendar, but the personal one's better, right? Thank you.
I'll be hosting on Thursday.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?